On this week's episode of Bayou Wild TV.
Man, we are sitting here in the mouth of a cut coming out of the Davis Pond Diversion into Lake Cataouache, and I got about a 5-pound redfish here. Right in the middle of this fresh water, fishing for bass on a spinnerbait. Look at that beautiful redfish.
The fish were stacked up, the water looks great, and the place is healthy, and that's what we were here to show.
Closed captioning is brought to you by Global Outdoors. Find your next adventure and share your experiences with others by downloading the Global Outdoors mobile app or visiting globaloutdoors.com. Every day, we strive to preserve traditions that have spanned generations.
Around every turn of the bayou, Mother Nature reveals unique people, places, and experiences.
And the bounty of animals and fish. Well, in Louisiana, we just call that lagniappe. I'm Don Dubuque.
I'm Chris LeCoq.
I'm Captain Martha Spencer. Join us as we document the adventure,
Sportsmanship,
and heritage that make us Bayou Wild. The Davis Pond Freshwater Diversion Project is located in St. Charles Parish on the west bank of the Mississippi River, approximately 15 miles upstream of New Orleans. This project was built to reduce saltwater intrusion in the Barataria Basin by introducing fresh water from the Mississippi River.
We're here at Davis Pond. Davis Pond is a diversion that was built back in the early 2000s. It's actually a project that the Corps of Engineers considered all the way back into the 1920s. And really the primary role of this project was to put some fresh water back into the Barataria Bay system for wildlife and fisheries production, and really to help out oyster production, because oysters need a good mix of fresh and salt water. But what Davis Pond has done in the 15 or 18 years or so that it's been operating is it's delivered enough sediment into this marsh in the area where the water flows into to bring sediment into the system and keep the marsh alive.
Today, we're with the Vanishing Paradise Initiative in the Coastal Protection and Restoration Authority to learn about the impacts of the diversion to the ecosystem here and also the fishery.
Vanishing Paradise began right after Katrina, and obviously in Louisiana we all know about the land loss, coastal land loss issues. So that's really where the name originated. And it turns out we really do have Vanishing Paradises all over the country. This one is obviously, it's the only place we actually have a full-time person working only on Louisiana. But we also work in the Everglades and in Florida and now all up and down the Mississippi River. So, we have issues everywhere, but y'all's down here is paramount.
In Louisiana, we live to cook, and we know a little Louisiana flavor brings any meal to life. Whether it's Friday's fish fry or Tuesday's crispy chicken, with Louisiana fish fry, you can turn any meal into a bona fide family favorite. Let's all Louisiana.
fish at New Orleans Big Game Fishing Club tournament on the Rebellious with Charlie Kaplinger, trolling, and caught the almost 34-pound dolphin.
We're in our new season of Bayou Wild TV, and that means new merchandise. Head on over to BayouWildTV.com for t-shirts, hoodies, and performance shirts, featuring scenes taken directly from our shows.
It's easy to see why it's worth a trip to Central Arkansas for the opening of early season Specklebelly Goose in Stuttgart.
Bayou Sinette State Park boat launch, and we're headed out to continue our study on the series of coastal restoration and river diversions with Vanishing Paradise of the National Wildlife Federation. Stick around and we'll show you what's happening. The Davis Pond Diversion on the northern end of Lake Cataouache has been a topic of conversation among fishermen for the last few decades. Once a bass fishing hotspot, decades of saltwater intrusion has resulted in loss of vegetation, which many believe has impacted the fishing. All right, this is the key right here. This is what they call, some people call it coontail grass. And before the sediment diversion, this lake was covered with it. It's starting to come back, but when this grass comes back, the fish will be back too. Today, we're on the northern end of Lake Cataouache with bass tournament angler Jeff Brule on a mission to locate fish at the mouth of the freshwater diversion outflow canal. We're on the north end of Lake Cataouache, which was once a really good bass fishery. We had a Bassmaster Classic one here, Jeff, and now that the sediment diversions are in operation, things have changed.
A big change. One thing, the grass is not coming back. The water coming in is pretty muddy. It kind of filters the sun out, so you don't have a lot of grass in the lake like you used to. Basically, this whole compound was a big grass flat, and there was loads of bass. They catching 8, 9, 10-pound bass out here, but it's all gone.
Well, you're the fisherman and not the scientist or hydrologist, but what do you think it would take to get that grass back?
Well, the storms killed a lot of the fish first, but the other thing is if we can get the grass back, once the grass comes up, it can run, the diversion can run all the time because that grass just filters all that sediment out and just grows more land as it does that.
And this has been known as a brackish area. Got a mix we saw today, redfish, bass, and brim. You get both the best of both worlds. Yep,
they even catch the crappie sac-a-lait in some of these canals around here. So you can catch anything down here. So it's a paradise.
Catching redfish in Lake Cataouache in the mouth of the cut of where the Davis Pond Diversion dumps in. Now, this is supposed to be just fresh water here, but obviously it's not scaring all the saltwater fish away because the redfish are up in here eating. Pretty little fish, man. What a great little nursery ground we got going on here. Coming out of the Mississippi River here at Davis Pond, feeding here in the Lake Cataouache.
You're watching Bayou Wild TV, award-winning outdoor programming. Follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, or visit the website BayouWildTV.com to watch past episodes. Outdoorsmen, athletes, and parents know the importance of Florida water to stay cool. And whether you're on the water, on the job, at the gym, or on the ball field, keeping cool just got simple with Cool Blue products. Cool Blue refreshing face and body wipes are for everyone. Use them at home, at work, or at play to clean up, cool down, and stay refreshed. Find Cool Blue refreshing wipes and misty spray at Rouse's Markets or online at coolblueproducts.com.
Delta Marina is Plaquemines Parish fishing one-stop. Get live bait, fuel, ice, tackle, and marine supplies. Then launch into the world's most productive saltwater fishing. Return to the fishing cleaning station, relax in first-class cabins overlooking the bayou, all in Delta Marina's safety video-monitored parking lot. Need a fishing charter guide? Delta Marina can hook you up. Cook your catch in your kitchenette or dine in the upstairs restaurant. Visit Delta Marina for a day or a week. Stop in just off Highway 11 down Rosemarie Drive in Empire. Visit thedeltamarina.com.
One of the reasons why Double D has been around for 50 years is because we are consistent with what built the business. And we go to great lengths to make sure that when you bring a deer or a hog or whatever it may be, your meat stays your meat all the way through the process. But we want to be as true to the original intent, which is a local meat company. And that's something that we want to maintain for as long as the Lord lets us do it.
Continuing this week's episode, fishing at the mouth of a freshwater outflow canal on the northern end of Lake Cataouache shows the effects of saltwater intrusion on this area.
Look at that fat fish. Look at this. This fish is probably in here eating bluegill and crawfish, river shrimp, whatever's coming out of the Mississippi River.
But a closer look inside the 9,300-acre ponding area shows how the introduction of Mississippi River sediment is rebuilding a thriving ecosystem.
Hi, I'm Dr. Theron Hankel. I'm a coastal resource scientist for the Coastal Protection and Restoration Authority. All the trees you see naturally colonized, all these plants naturally colonized. So this is all natural formation of a marsh delta that you would expect to see.
So even when you're not trying to, You didn't want the river to build land, or that wasn't the goal. The river's going to build some land,
right?
If it has its way.
You can't avoid sediment, and so this diversion actually was built in a way to avoid as much sediment as possible, and it's still passing enough to build. In this area we've probably had about over 500 acres of land building.
Wow, 500 acres of land and some pretty good fishing.
Yeah,
just right over there. Is
good
that right?
fishing. Just out there.
And there's
good fishing.
Little
bald
baby
eagles,
alligator going over there.
Alligators.
Little alligator going away.
You can see the sediment that has settled out even on these leaves when the water's a little elevated like this. So all of this sediment has been delivered here by the river and it's settling out on these leaves that are submerged right now. And every one of these that's underwater has a little bit of sediment there, and so all that adds up obviously over time, and you end up with a delta display like this that supports vegetation and ultimately trees like you see over there in the background. You know, we hear a lot, why don't we just dredge our way out of this problem? And there's two things I would say to that. One, we're dredging a heck of a lot.
Yeah.
We're dredging more than we ever have in the existence of CPRA, and we'll continue to do that. But two, those fine-grained sediments that have built everything that you see here is not accessible through dredging, right? It's suspended in the water column. So you don't access this fraction of the sediment that's in the river through dredging alone. So it's a way to get at more sediment that the river's carrying than dredging alone.
And instead of letting it just flow right out into the Gulf and
wasted.
Yeah.
And it's a self-feeding process, so you get a little bit of mud high enough to where a plant can grow on it, and then the plant helps trap sediment faster, and so then the delta grows even faster than when there weren't plants there before. So it kind of feeds off itself and quickens growth. And you know, for this diversion, it probably took 10 to 12 years before we started seeing land building. And so the goal of the new diversions would be to shorten that time span and expand the area of land building.
This is awesome. And the photos you were showing us before we came out, it's like, yeah, that's real.
And it's a little quieter right now just because it's 1 to 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and you know, the birds are taking the afternoon siesta. So, but you know, when you come in the morning, it's just alive.
It's the first time I've been here to Davis Pond, and I've heard about it for years. A lot of our folks come here all the time. So getting out and actually seeing land build, even though they didn't intend to build land when they put in the diversion, and 500 acres I think was what we discussed that's there that wasn't there before. So that's pretty incredible stuff to go from floating marsh to now you got willow trees, and before long there'll be white-tailed deer and everything else out there.
In the water we have a hydro station which measures temperature, salinity, water level hourly. And then within the marsh, there's 10 vegetation plots where the vegetation gets measured every year. There is what we call an RSET, which really highly accurately measures the elevation every year. And then there's something called a feldspar marker, which measures your accretion. So you take a core, you put a white layer down, you take a core through it, and then you can see how much is on top of that white layer every year, and then you measure your accretion. I mean, once you know your accretion and your elevation, you can do some subtraction and figure out your subsidence rate. From here to here is all brand new mineral sediment deposited by the diversion, and you can tell that because it's all clay and silty. And then here, from here down, it's basically pure organic matter that was existing before. I'll give that a foot, it might be a little more, but a foot of deposition 4 miles from the mouth of the diversion, from a diversion that wasn't supposed to build land.
Well, it's like real science.
Yeah, yes. And the great part is that it's the same exact data that's collected on the same exact schedule all the time. And that's what makes it so valuable, because there's, you know, and generally in science, there's a study over here, the techniques aren't the same, so it makes it hard to compare. And what the real value of this is that now we have this monitoring network, and the first ones went in about 2006, and 2006 2009 was how long it took to install them all. So we have about 15 years or more of data at these sites now, and so it's great monitoring for our projects. And we have, you know, so when Mid-Barataria comes online, we'll have 20 years of baseline data in the basin, close to the diversion, far away from the diversion, and now we can really understand our influence in the basin based on that.
It's easy to see why it's worth a trip to Central Arkansas for the opening of early season speckled-belly goose in Stuttgart.
In 1967, Dutch Stogner realized his dream to run his own meat market. 50 years and 3 generations later, Double D and the Stogner family still operate with Dutch's original commitment to quality. Pick up some Double D sausage today and share your good times with us on Facebook.
Outdoorsmen, athletes, and parents know the importance of Florida water to stay cool. Whether you're on the water, on the job, at the gym, or on the ball field, keeping cool just got simple with Cool Blue products. Cool Blue refreshing face and body wipes are for everyone. Use them at home, at work, or at play to clean up, cool down, and stay refreshed. Find Cool Blue refreshing wipes and misty spray at Rouse's Markets or online at coolblueproducts.com.
We love our children. We protect them. We guide them. We prepare them for life in the world. With all that we do, from deep in our hearts, we cannot control all things. Life-threatening illnesses and disabilities affect far too many of our children each year. While we cannot change the circumstance, we can make dreams come true. Dreams to provide hope, to provide spiritual healing and strength, to provide moments of happiness and relief in the hardest of times. We can give a glimmer of light and hope in a time of darkness and despair. Join huntofalifetime.org to help make dreams come true, to provide hope for children with life-threatening illnesses and disabilities. Hunt of a Lifetime is a nonprofit organization fulfilling dreams for hunting and fishing trips to youth 21 and under with life-threatening illnesses and disabilities. Visit huntofalifetime.org to learn how you can make a difference.
In 1967, Dutch Stogner realized his dream to run his own meat market. 50 years and 3 generations later, Double D and the Stogner family still operate with Dutch's original commitment to quality. Pick up some Double D sausage today and share your good times with us on Facebook.
Man, we are sitting here in the mouth of a cut coming out of the Davis Pond Diversion into Lake Cataouache, and I got about a 5-pound redfish here. Right in the middle of this freshwater, fishing for bass on a spinnerbait. Look at that beautiful redfish.
It's great to see these redfish here in the immediate outfall of the Davis Pond freshwater diversion. The crabs we're seeing in the water, the bait we're seeing in the water is just something else. And it's why these fish are here. Caught quite a few this morning, Chris. I think you have, haven't you? So
yeah, I mean, this is number 5. So I mean, I'm not stunned. I'm saying pleasantly surprised that we've come right here in the mouth of where Mississippi River water's dumping into Lake Cataouache in the northern part of Barataria Bay. And this is as good a redfish action as we found anywhere in this system since Hurricane Ida. So it's real encouraging to see this.
It's a testament to the productivity that the river can inject into this basin if we'll allow it to do so.
I mean, we get right by where the outflow from this diversion was coming out, and C-Mac, he threw up there with a spinnerbait, boom, he hooks a redfish, and about 30 seconds later, and I mean within 5 feet of where he caught the redfish, I hook into a largemouth bass. So that was just an incredible experience.
Pretty bass.
And I mean, that sucker was right about where you hooked that redfish.
Yep. Look at that guy.
That's a strong fish right there, living in that current.
Nice.
I didn't want to lift it and stretch the arm of that spinnerbait, but that's a pretty fish too. Skinny little rascal.
Good color.
He was hungry.
Another great day learning about Louisiana's coastal areas with Vanishing Paradise and the CPRA. Today's mission, was it accomplished? What did we do?
Absolutely. I mean, now, for me, I got to catch some redfish, so that was awfully cool. You know, we don't do a lot of that in Tennessee. Kentucky Lake, our redfish population sucks. But so the fishing was great, but getting out there to see the health of the ecosystem. I mean, this place got torn up pretty bad by Ida, and I know they lost a lot of bass, but first fish I caught today was a largemouth, you know, and then we started catching redfish. I mean,
We've seen Louisiana's ecosystems change greatly in our lifetime, but it's important to remember that much like Rome, Louisiana also wasn't built in a day.
The context of the estuary is really important to understand our place in history. So because we're fishing the species here, that's not where it was 200 years ago, or, you know. So we're trying to do restoration in the context of a longer time scale, because we want it to last a longer time scale. We don't want 2-year restoration. We're trying to restore for future generations. So it is important to understand that context of the estuary we live in isn't the estuary of our grandfathers, which isn't the estuary of their grandfathers.
fish were stacked up, the water looks great, and the place is healthy, and that's what we were here to show.
The health of our state's coast is the key to continue our adventure, sportsmanship, and heritage of Bayou Wild.